Right, hello fellas. Hope things are going all right, and that you guys have been sticking to a bit of a routine. I've put a lot of effort into all of these lessons and those quizzes, which hopefully should have helped you quite a lot with your revision for your assessment. I'm hoping that the assessments have gone well. If I feel as though people have been struggling with certain topics, what I'm probably going to do is I'll do another lesson just about those topics and just go over them again. But yeah, that's all we can do for now, I suppose. But it really does take some effort from you guys to just sort of stick to a routine and get the lessons done. You know, I'm sending you less lessons than you would have actually had if you were in school. So this week, for example, you're only going to get this one lesson, and that's it. And then the assessment, obviously. So yeah, today's lesson is all about levers. So we're now going to be having a look at analysis of movement. Okay, so the first place we start with is levers. Then we're going to have a look at planes and axes. But for today, levers. You probably would have heard people talk about levers a lot, and not really sort of fully understood what a lever was. Now, what's important is that we remember how to draw the diagram that represents one of the levers. So there's three different kinds of levers in the body. Lever systems are all over the body, and they're at the joints, and they use the bones, the joints, and the muscles. And you've got, at every joint is a particular kind of lever system, and we'll have a look at that now. In summary, what you need to remember is you've got class 1, class 2 and class 3 lever systems. You have to be able to draw the diagram that represents those three different lever systems. And then you also, the second part is you need to apply it. You need to understand, for example, a basketball shot. You need to be able to say what lever system is working there, so at the elbow, what class lever it is. You should be able to draw that diagram, and then you should be able to actually say anything else about sort of what muscles are working there. So to start with, let's have a look at, so if you were going to draw a lever system, there's three components to a lever system that you have to remember. Okay, so a lever system will look, or a diagram will look like this. You've got your baseline. You'll then have, we're going to have a look at this is a class 1 lever system. Okay, so the fulcrum will go in the middle. It's called a fulcrum. Now, fulcrum is a pivot point. So for in the joint, the fulcrum will be the axis of rotation around that joint. So if you were to actually have, like on a hinge, for example, a hinge for a door, the actual hinge itself is the fulcrum. So it's the pivot point. Okay. You then have a effort. Okay, so now the effort will be the force that's applied to the one end of the lever system. You'll then have what is normally represented as a square. You will have a load. For GCSE you have to say resistance. Okay. Now that's otherwise known as a load. Okay, resistance or load. Okay, so hopefully you can still see that. I know the light's not great at the moment. So in the middle, you've got the fulcrum, which is represented as a triangle. The one side you have the resistance, and then the other side you've got the effort. So effort is the force applied at the one end of the lever. The resistance is the load that needs to be moved. Okay, and the fulcrum is the pivot point of the lever. Okay. Now it's important that you remember those three. So what we like to do is I like to sort of just remember it as FRE. Okay, FRE. Fulcrum, resistance, effort. Okay. Now probably you've on the slides I've got all the tasks for you, so I'm not going to give you any tasks right now. Okay, so that's part 1. we're now going to have a look at a way in which we can remember all of these different classes. So that was a class 1, very easy, where the fulcrum's in the middle. It doesn't matter if you draw the resistance on this side and the effort on that side, that doesn't matter. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is it's like a memory tool, a way of remembering these different diagrams and where the fulcrum goes, where the effort goes, and where the load goes for each of the systems. So it's basically, you have to remember 1, 2, 3, F, R, E. Right, 1, 2, 3, F, R, E. Now, I'm going to teach you how to use this memory tool. So, if we have a look at a class 1 lever system, the fulcrum is in the middle. Okay? So, that'll be what we've just seen. The fulcrum is in the middle. That's a class 1. Now, if you drew that and put the fulcrum in the middle, it doesn't matter which side you put sort of the effort and resistance. You could have it that way round, or you could have it the other way round. If you drew that, you'd get 4 marks for drawing the diagram of a class 1 lever system. It's as simple as that. Okay, so as long as we need to remember that this is the pivot point in the joint. That's the effort. So that will be the muscular contraction. Okay, so the effort is the force applied through the contraction of the muscle, and the resistance is either your body weight or the weight of something that you're trying to move. Okay, so it could even be just your forearm plus a tennis racket. That would be the resistance. Okay. Now, if we want to have a look at a class 2 lever system, okay, we have, we'll just go circle that one, and then we have to circle the second one here as well. So that means there that you've got, if you draw your diagram again, you've now got, for a class 2, the resistance is in the middle. Resistance in the middle. Okay, and then again, it doesn't matter which side you put the others. So hopefully you should remember now. So what are the other 2 things? Think carefully. Come on, Joseph, give me 1. Very good. The fulcrum. Excellent. Let's go. Harvey, give me the other. Effort. Very good. Well done. Top man. Top man. Okay. So resistance, effort, and fulcrum. Now, if you think about this here, for example, the resistance will be, it'll be pushing down like that. So resistance is almost like, imagine it's a load, it's a weight, okay? And the weight is pushing down. That means that the effort here needs to be acting that way. So the arrow should be pointing that way, because you're trying to keep this as it is, okay? So that's the effort, that's the load that's pushing down, and the effort there is pulling up, and this is just the pivot point, okay? Right, so that's dead easy for class 2. Okay, now keeping on working with this memory tool, just remember, all you need to know at the moment is the diagram and where the F, R, E go on this line, okay? So let's look at class 3. So we've got a class 3 lever system, okay? That means there that the effort is in the middle. So all of these are in the middle, okay? So for class 1, fulcrum's in the middle. Class 2, resistance in the middle. Class 3, the effort's in the middle, okay? So you've got the effort in the middle, and again, doesn't matter which way around these are. Right, so again, the resistance is probably going to be sort of acting down, and therefore the effort, arrow be pointing up. Okay, so the effort's on the opposite side now. So before you had with class 2, you had this the other way around. Okay, that was class 2 there. All right, so that's class 3, and that's a class 2. Now you had the effort is now, so the muscular contraction is going to be happening here, whereas here the muscular contraction is going to be happening there. All right, and the resistance in the middle. Okay, so the muscles acting on that side, where here is the muscles acting on that side. All right? Right, so at this point, you should all now be able to actually use 1, 2, 3 FRE to be able to draw a diagram for a first class lever system, a second class, and a third class lever system. Okay, that's going to be on your worksheet. So on your worksheet, you'll have to draw those. And if you're struggling with it still, even with this memory tool, then go on to the next slides, okay, and have a look at those slides, because all the diagrams are on there. Right. So what I'm going to just quickly do now then is I'm going to have a look at the different lever systems and just show you how they work in the body. So let's now do a quick little sort of exercise. So we're going to start with, there's going to be 3 different exercises that we're going to do, or different movements that we're going to do, and you need to try and remember these movements. All right, so we're going to start with, okay, 1 is going to be tricep extension. Okay, so tricep extension. 2 is going to be calf raise, so you're going to go up onto your tiptoes, and 3 is going to be a bicep curl. Okay, so you're not actually doing any weights, but you're just imagining you're doing those movements. Okay, so 1, okay, is an extension at the elbow. So it's extension of the elbow, okay, tricep extension. Okay, 2 is calf raises, okay, so it's plantar flexion at the ankle. And 3 is flexion at the elbow, okay, so bicep curl. Okay, so we're going to do a few sets of this, all right? So 2 sets of 5 repetitions of each. Okay, but you have to say the numbers. You have to say this as we go along, please. Okay, so to start with, we've got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You might feel silly doing this, but you have to remember 1 is tricep extension, 2 is calf raise, and 3 is bicep curl. 1 is tricep extension, 2 is calf raise, 3 is bicep curl. 1 is tricep extension, 2 is calf raise, and 3 is bicep curl. Okay? Right, that's a warm-up round. Warm-up round. Okay, so do one more lot of them. Ready? 1 tricep extension, 2 calf raise, bicep curl. 1, 2 calf raise, bicep curl. Tricep extension, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Okay, now I'm going to challenge you. Okay, quick challenge. I'm going to put them in different orders. Okay, so we're going to go 3, 2, 1. Ready? 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 1, 3, 2. Okay, so it's 1, 3, 2. Okay, do it again. 1, 3, 2. Okay, and we're going to go 2, 2, 3, 1. Ready? 2, 2, 3, 1. 2, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so now we're going to go 3, 3, 1, 2. Okay, ready? Go. 3, 3, 1, 2. Okay, 3, 3, 1, 2. Okay, now I'm going to, let's go 3, 1, 2, 2. Go. Okay, that would have been 3, 1, 2, 2. Okay, hopefully by now, just a little bit of moving around, okay, that seems really silly, but it's very, very important you remember that class 1, okay, is that. So a class 1 lever system is at the elbow joint, anything where you've got elbow extension, okay? Anything where you've got elbow extension. So that could be anything throwing over your head, could be a racket, hitting a racket, like a serve, okay? So 1, that's class 1, all right? Just remember that. Then you have class 2. Class 2 is any movement where you're plantar flexing, okay? So any movement where that's happening, okay? So it could be, you know, I'm not going to give too much away because we've got some examples on the slides, but any movement when that's happening. So, I mean, running that happens, for example, okay? So you've got that class 2 lever system working there, all right? The class 2 lever system works at the ankle, okay? And I'll explain that afterwards. Finally, you've got bicep curl, or any time you've got flexion of the elbow, okay? So flexion of the elbow, anything like that, that is a class 3 lever system. And just to let you know that a class 3 lever system works at most of our joints, okay? There's not many class 1 or class 2. Class 3 is most of them, okay? You know, you're looking at hip, knee, elbow, it's basically all class 3 systems. Okay, so let's have a quick look and see how that works. I'll try and go through this as quickly as possible. We're running out of time here. So, the class 1, okay, we'll draw class 1, so FRE, so it's 1, 2, 3 FRE, so 1 is F, so fulcrum's in the middle, okay, and then you've got, let's go, resistance and effort. Okay, how that works is, I don't know if you can see this very well, but you would have, for example, you would have a fulcrum would be, so this could be, so the effort is happening that side. Fulcrum would be there. Effort is the tricep muscle. Okay, this is the joint, and this is the arm. Okay, and the hand. Okay, and the hand's holding a weight. Okay, now that there. So you can see. So imagine that the person's head is there, and you can see that. That's the elbow, and effectively what they're doing is, you've got the fulcrum is in the elbow joint, okay, fulcrum in the elbow joint, the effort is happening here, okay, so that's the tricep pulling down, and what happens is when the tricep contracts, okay, remember that the insertion goes towards origin, okay, it shortens, and then that happens, so that kind of movement, it works against the resistance. So you've got the resistance is here, the fulcrum's there, and the effort's there. So as you can see, it's the same as that. There's your type 1, elbow extension. Okay, you'll see a better diagram than that on the slides. Okay, we've then got. 2, okay, now this one, probably the hardest one to sort of understand. 2 is, remember, 1, 2, 3, F, R, E. 2 is, so the resistance is now in the middle, okay? So you draw the diagram here, resistance in the middle, then you're going to have your fulcrum, pivot point is there, and the effort is going to be here. Resistance means that the body weight is coming down, and the muscle contraction has to be working against that, okay? All right, so the resistance and the effort basically work against each other, right? So how that works is, for example, so in the calf, so you got calf raises. Number 2 is calf raises. Number 1 is tricep extensions, okay? So calf raises, you'd have your foot, say you've got a foot, a really bad picture of a foot. Okay, and that's the leg. All right, what happens here is you've got on the balls of your feet, say they're your toes, okay, the balls of your feet, you've got the fulcrum. Okay? Now, your body weight, so imagine obviously everything carries on up here, but your center of gravity, your body weight is going to be acting down about there. So the resistance will be there. And then what happens is this muscle, the gastrocnemius, okay, or the calf, right, that now contracts, okay, and shortens, but it pulls up that way. Okay, so when that muscle contracts, the insertion pulls towards the origin. Okay, and so it pulls up that way. So that's the effort there. Again, it's the same as, here's your diagram. The fulcrum's on the one side, the resistance is in the middle, and the effort is on the outside. Okay, almost think about this as almost like a wheelbarrow. So if you had a wheelbarrow, you've got the wheel there, you've then got the weight in the wheelbarrow. Hopefully you can see that. The weight in the wheelbarrow is in the middle, so that's your resistance. The effort is you lifting it up there, and the fulcrum is the pivot point. Okay? So that's 2. All right, that's 2. You've then got, we have a look at the last one, and this is the most common one. Okay, in our body, we now have, okay, remember, nearly finished guys, 1, 2, 3, F, R, E, 3, the effort is now in the middle. Effort in the middle, again, it doesn't really matter, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the bicep. So bicep curl will have the pivot point is going to be on this side, and the load is going to be there, so, or resistance, sorry. Effort is going to work up, resistance working down. Okay, you've now got, what we're going to do is we'll have a look at the bicep. So from there, the bicep working, the hands holding a weight, that therefore is the resistance, okay, the weight. So it's the forearm and the weight on the end of the arm, that's the resistance working down. Okay, its point of attachment of the bicep is here. Okay, so what happens is that now becomes the effort. And then the pivot point for the elbow is right in the middle of the joint. So the fulcrum is there. So remember, you've got the pivot point there, you've got the effort in the middle, and you've got the resistance over there. Okay, I know that's a bit faint because of the light and everything, but hopefully you can see that all right. Okay. Okay. So the important thing to remember, guys, step 1, okay, is remember all the different movements. So you've got 1 is that any sporting movement that does that or that is using a class 1, okay, class 1 and a lever system. Number 2 was calf raises. Okay, so at the ankle, right? So plantar flexion. Okay, that is class 2. So any action in sport using that is using a class 2 lever system. Okay, and then you've got 3. Okay, is bicep curl. So any action, okay, in the body that's using that. Okay, any sporting action that's using that elbow flexion is a class 3. There's a class 3 lever system. Another thing is, for example, the exact same thing would be when you do knee flexion. Knee flexion. Exactly the same thing is happening. Imagine that's your body, your sorry, you can't see that. Knee flexion. Imagine that could be your bicep, okay, and it's doing exactly the same thing. So that would be a 3, and that would be a 3. Okay. So just remember those movements. 2. Remember the 1, 2, 3 FRE. If you remember that, if you get a question saying draw a diagram of a class 2 lever system, you should know where. So you should know where the resistance is. The resistance is in the middle, and then it doesn't matter about the other 2. They can be on either side. Okay. Right, have fun with that, and I'll see you next week.